Good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome to babycode 3 IELTS classes. I'm Tanu Virmani, an IDP certified trainer and a TEFL to Solve certified trainer too. So I am back with my speaking module now, and I'm going to cover up all the sessions, all the recorded topics here, so that you can ace your speaking module. Now, today is our live session 2, and the topic of our session is how to perform at your best for part 1. Now, IELTS speaking part 1 is all about introduction. It's all about an interview. So, how you can perform best here. I'll be giving you some tips, some strategies which you can apply in your complete speaking test. Now, what is part 1? Right? What part 1 includes of IELTS speaking? Part 1 includes all the familiar questions, all the familiar topics, and you have to answer all those topics in at least 2 to 3 sentences. Now we'll go through some tips also that how you can prepare for your speaking test and how you can continue that speaking throughout the test. Now you know that speaking test is of 11 to 15 minutes and the part 1 is for 4 to 5 minutes. So how you have to enhance your part 1, because part 1 is the most easiest part. Now why is it the easiest one is because the topics in part 1 are very familiar to you. This is your task, right? This is very familiar task because you are going to be like examiner will ask questions about yourself. What do you do? Where do you come from? Do you work or study? What do you like? What do you dislike? Right? So they'll be asking you everything related to you. You may be asked some questions about your family, your country, your personal experiences also, and the activities you do. So it's better you talk about yourself. Be easy as the vocabulary and topics are familiar to you, right? Now, how? The very first thing is the very first strategy, or I would say the very first tip is that you can start your test confidently. Do not hesitate in whole of your speaking test because that shows up your fluency and coherence. Be confident throughout the test. Now we'll be looking at some of the steps which tell you what happens at the beginning of speaking test and what tips and advice I can give you so that you can perform better, right? So we'll be looking at some of the tips. The very first tip is that you have to be confident because it actually boosts your image. That shows your fluency and your coherence to the examiner that this person is not hesitating. He is very confident with his ideas. Show interest in the question. Second is you have to be little interested in the question. While you're answering, you have to show your eagerness that yes, you have that capability that you can speak about this question, right? Avoid giving yes or no answers. This is the most important tip. I would say never ever give your answer in simply yes or no. You have to expand your answer. If your answer is yes or no pattern, it shows that you are unwilling to speak on it. It shows the examiner that you're not able to speak anymore. That is why you have given your answer in a one word, which is not advisable, right? You have to extend your answer in at least 1 to 2 sentences. Maximum you can go three. That depends on you, right? Know the questions that you can expect. Now, I'll be giving you some common topics. You should know that these questions can expect in the exam, can come in the exam, right? Having prior knowledge of the question makes you sound like a pro, right? Because if you know something about the topic, or I would say if you have any idea how to answer that question, it will be a beneficial point for you. Next is try to expand on your answer. As I said, you have to extend your answer. You cannot let your answer in one word or single sentence because the examiner will be asking you the reason why. Try to answer all the questions asked by the examiner. Never ever leave any question unanswered. Answer all your questions. Never say, I don't know for any question. You can say that it's a tricky question. I have never came across such question, but yes, you have to answer. You have to put your viewpoint here. You have to answer for the question, but yes, you cannot leave any answer, right? If you want anything to be clear from the examiner, you can tell them that, yes, I want a little clarification on can you please help me with this? Like you want him to repeat basically. So remember, these are the tips. That means be confident, show interest in the questions, avoid giving yes or no answer, know the expectation, know the questions that you can expect, try to expand on your answer, and try to answer all the questions asked by the examiner. Now, very first, what happens when you go for your exam? Examiner calls your name, or either they can call your candidate number. Now, you have to smile and you have to respond that, yes, that's me. Or a kind of a similar phrase, you can say that, hello, how are you? Right? You have to greet them. You have to walk confidently and you have to greet your examiner also. Then you have to sit down at the test table. Now breathe in and get ready and remember to smile and appear at ease. Examiner will now start to record your exam, right? The whole of your speaking will be recorded now. They will check for the paperwork that what questions they are going to ask you. Examiner will ask again then for the passport. So place it on the table in front of you, right? Examiner, after that, the examiner will read out your details and will ask you some basic questions about who you are and where are you from. He'll be looking at the passport, he'll be looking at the identification, and then they will be checking for some questions, like they will be asking you who you are. So you can answer this question very briefly, that I am from Delhi, I am from India, I am from China. Do not ever produce any kind of a memorized answer here about your place, about your city, about your location, right? And why it is famous. They are not asking you about that, why your city is famous or why your place is famous. They are just simply asking you, where are you from? So you have to elaborate about your city, about your place. That's it. So why is it famous? No, you need not to tell that my place is famous for this, right? Examiner will check your ID. You can show your passport, right? You have to hand it to them and they'll be checking it and examining it. Once you cover up all this, the examiner will ask you about what do you do and where you live. So be sure, be ready for these kind of simple and familiar questions. Start preparing yourself for these basic questions. If you work or study, suppose he asks you, what do you do? If you work and study, choose only one option. Don't tell the examiner that you do both, because examiner will choose questions they want to ask you based on your answer. If you say that yes, I work and study both, so they will be asking you questions related to both study and work. But if you can control the choice of topic, that means you can control that you want to talk about work or you want to talk about study, right? So that means if you mention that you study, they'll be asking you following questions related to study part. But if you mention that I am working, they will be asking you questions related to the working part. So you can control the choice of topic by either saying you study or you work. If you do not study or work, then you can respond, actually, I don't study, I don't work, I am a stay at home parent, right? So you are mentioning that you do not work, do not study, right? Now listen to the tenses and make sure your answer matches the sentence, right? Now you have to check for the tenses, that which sentence he is referring to, which tense he is making. What do you study? So this is a present tense. They're asking you in a present form. So what you will reply in present is, I am studying science at university. If they ask you, what did you study? So they're mentioning about past. I studied science when I was at university. So you replied in past. What will you study? So they'll be asking now for the future. I am planning to study science in the future. Now, this answer is correct, but you have to extend your answer. You cannot let your answer in this single statement. Why so? Because see, you have to extend some more information to your answer before the examiner asks why. Don't let the examiner say why, because you can yourself extend your answer, expand your answer. What do you study? Now, what do you study is present. They're asking, I am studying science at university because I have always wanted to be a scientist. So you have given a reason, you have given why situation. What did you study? I studied science when I was at university, and now I'm preparing to do my doctorate, right? What will you study? Now they're asking about future. I am planning to study science in the future as I believe that scientists will help us to deal with future environmental issues. So he is mentioning now that why he wants to study science in the future. So again, you also have to give the reason for your answer. Prepare for these kind of familiar questions, plan your answer, and make sure you can talk about where you live, your country, your family, your hometown, because these are the very basic questions which will be asked by the examiner in the part 1. Speak clearly at a good pace. Now pace means that your speech, that your speed, basically how you're speaking, it has to be neither more quick, I would say, nor slow. Do not speak too quickly or too slowly. Maintain a calm tone, a natural tone when you speak, right? So smile occasionally when you speak. This action open up your mouth a bit wider and help you to sound clearly also. Stress out on more important words. Show the words that make contrast and make sure you use intonation. Intonation means the up and down of your speech, right? How my look now when I am speaking, sometimes my tone is high, sometimes my tone is slow, right? It's little low. So please look for that. If you do not understand the question, ask for clarification from the examiner. Can you or could you repeat that, please? What does that mean? So you can ask these type of questions for clarification. I hope these tips would be helpful to you whenever you start preparing for an exam. Now, part 1, familiar topics. As I already told you that you will be asked common questions here. What I would suggest you is today go to the IDP official website, the YouTube page of official IDP website. There is a person here, like you will be looking at Ashish from Nepal. He received band 7.5 for his overall performance. Listen to that test recording between examiner and Ashish, how he extend his answer, giving his opinion, right? And how what he asked, if he asked Ashish to extend with why or why not question. So evaluate that, listen to that, and always go to the official site. Now, what kind of questions you may get in the part 1 about friends? Now look at the questions about friends. Are your friend mostly of your age or different age? That means they're asking you about the age group of your friends and why you have chosen this kind of age group, right? Do you usually see your friends during this week or weekend? So now they're asking, when do you usually meet your friends? On the weekends or during the week? The last time you saw your friends, what did you do together? So what you did, you have to express that. That means past here. In what ways are your friends important to you? So how much your friends are important to you, you have to explain about the importance of your friends. I would like to move on to talk about food and cooking. So he talked about food and cooking. Now what kind of food do you like to eat? That means what kind of meals do you like? What is the variety of food that you like? What kind of new food would you like to try? So they are now asking you about that. Do you like to try something new and why so? Do you like cooking? And if you say yes, I like cooking, but why do you like, you have to give the reason. If you say that no, I do not like cooking, then why you do not like cooking, you have to explain that. What was the last meal you cooked? So you have to talk about again the past, that which meal you cooked. Now, for answering these type of question, you have to use the functional language. Now, what is functional language in part 1 is that shows that you are able to access the language and ideas needed to keep speaking. Now, when you want to maintain the flow of your speech, you have to use these functional language because these act as a part here. When you're not able to get your answer, but you use your functional language. So, although you probably won't find part 1 difficult, you never find it difficult, but it is important that you can show your language, that how you can vary your language and you can introduce personal experiences, right? Because part 1 is all about your personal round, right? Your interview. So here examiner will look that yes, you can extend your answer with your personal experiences. So these are some of the phrases I would say. Write it down, read it yourself, and just save it with you. You can use these of the examples of phrases in the part 1, right? I'll be coming up with the session which includes the complete detail of functional language and the discourse markers in my upcoming sessions. Next is now what the examiner expect from you. When you know that you are preparing for part 1, now what examiner want is, examiner want you to relax. Try to approach your test in the same way if you're talking to a real person, not a computer. Don't treat it like an exam, just treat it that you are having a conversation with the examiner. Examiner is asking about you and you are answering that, right? The more you talk like a human being, the more natural you will sound. Remember, it's about you. All the questions are going to be about you. You do not need to prepare any memorized answer. I'm repeating it, do not memorize any answer, because you know about yourself and you have to speak about yourself. Not too short. That means your answer should not be very short. The these do not give examiner enough information. You have to speak because this is your speaking test. If you're not able to speak well, how they are going to evaluate your speaking skill? So you can extend your answers, you can give explanation, expand it, provide an example that supports your viewpoint. Not too long. If you give very long answer to a simple question, it sounds very unnatural. And it may even sound like you are giving a memorized answer. So 2 to 3 sentences are more than enough to answer for your question. Now let's look at some of the common questions, like the first one, your job and study. So here the examiner will ask you to easily talk about what you do, what you study, and explain also. They may ask you about your hometown, where do you stay, where it is, and describe your location also. They may ask you about your opinion, right? Your hometown, how it looks like, what is the most interesting part of your hometown. They may ask you a question about home, that where you currently live, your neighborhood, your family, your friends you live with, your apartment, describing about the house you live in, right? So they may be asking you these questions. Other common topics. So it is very likely that you will be asked about the topics to the right side, which I have listed here. And they are not the only questions you will be asked, but they are the most common one. I'm not saying that these will only come in the exam, but yes, these are the most common topics that comes in your IELTS speaking test. First is free time, that means the leisure time. Second is television, fashion, sports, internet, books, food, weather, family, likes and dislikes. So likes and dislike covers all your necessary points. Now let's look at some of the sample answers which are all band above 7 by the higher scorer. First question about work is, do you work or study? Now you can mention here that do you work or do you study? I graduated a few years ago. So he mentioned that he graduated few years ago and now he's in a full-time employment. So he's mentioning now his work also. He talked about that he has done with his study part. I work as an English teacher for the British Council because he's working. So he's mentioning about his profession, right? So you also have to explain. If you work, you mention that yes, you are working. Where are you working? You have to mention that. What is your profession basically? Why did you choose that job? Now, why he choose that job, like being a teacher? I was previously a lawyer, found it to be really stressful and never had any free time. So after quitting that job, I thought teaching might be the complete opposite of being a lawyer. You now not as stressful and more time off. So he mentioned that why he chose the teaching profession, because he was previously a lawyer and being a lawyer is like really stressful to him and he never had a free time. So once he thought that he would be taking teaching as a profession, which is completely opposite. He is now not as stressful and he's having more time off. So a well explained answer for his new profession. You also have to extend your answer, right? That why did you choose that job? What are the benefits of choosing that job, right? Because if we opt any profession, there must be something behind it we are looking for. We are passionate about that profession, or we are having good remuneration, or we are having good incentives, or a kind of time off, right? Do you enjoy your job? Now, do you like your job basically? Do you love doing it? Most of the time. Yes, most of the time it is very rewarding to be able to produce, to be able to help people every day. The students here are very hardworking and fun to teach, but you sometimes have lessons that do not go well and the money could always be better. So why he enjoys that job, he provided an explanation for that, right? Let's look at some common questions about hometown. Where is your hometown? So again, you have to talk about your hometown, that you belong to Delhi, you belong to any other city. Where is your hometown? Where it is located, you can mention that. How often do you visit your hometown? So how frequently, like you're visiting every week, monthly, or once in a year? How far it is, you can also mention. Why you do not visit frequently, you can mention that reason also. So not as much as I should. I only get to visit once a year now to see my family because I'm really busy with the work, right? So being busy, he's not able to go his home or visit his home, and it's quite far also. So I hope to visit more in the future. So well explained answer when you're giving the reason and explanation both. What is the oldest part of your hometown? Now you can talk about any kind of monument in the oldest part. You can talk about oldest temple also, like any castle also, anything you believe that these are the breathtaking views or have something speciality about your hometown, you can talk. How far it is, what are the features, what are the qualities, you can talk about the oldest part. Let's look at the next one, your home. Now, where do you live? You have to mention about your place here, your home here. So I live on the outskirts of, you can mention your district, your city, name that, and how it is located, how far it is located from the city center, you can mention that also. Plus, if you have any other idea, you can put that. They never judge your ideas, right? What is your favorite room? Now, favorite room, you can talk about your own room, your bedroom, your study room, your living room. Now, why do you like that room? You have to explain, because what is your favorite room? So suppose you can say that my study room, because it's the only room where I can relax, where I can find peace and calm. When I'm there, my wife knows I'm working, so she leaves me alone and I can concentrate on work. So why he likes his study room? Because he can concentrate, he can find peace, and he can do his work. So you also have to explain that. You cannot simply say that I like my bedroom or I like my study room. You have to explain why do you like that. How is your apartment decorated? Now you live in independent house, you live in flat, you live in apartment, but how it looks like. So you can talk about the decoration. That means you can talk about the color of your house, the curtains of your house, how your house it having, what kind of rooms it having, how you have decorated it with the pictures, the wall painting. So you can mention all those things here, right? You like a minimum decoration, you do not like you had clutter, you do not like to decorate it much, so you can mention all those things. Let's talk about food. Now, what's your favorite food? I would have to say that's definitely steak. It's quite expensive, so it's a real treat when I had to get the chance to have steak. And I love all the things that comes with it, like pepper sauce, chips, mushroom, and onions. So you can also mention about your favorite food. What are the ingredients of favorite food? What are the contents basically, and something which comes along with that food, right? So mention deeply here. Have you always liked that food? That means, do you always like the same kind of food, or you like something else also when you were younger, your childhood, or these days? So you can mention that also, that when I was younger I like this, or when I was in my childhood I like this. So have you always liked that food, or do you have a different taste? You have to mention that. Do you have a healthy diet? Now, what kind of diet do you follow? Do you follow healthy? Like, do you have a healthy diet or not? If you have, you can mention your diet. If you do not have, then also you can mention that why you do not have. So, no, not at all. That means this person is not having healthy diet. He's having unhealthy food like sweets, fatty foods, junk foods, and due to which he's having a little overweight. So he's mentioning the consequences also, because of his unhealthy eating habits, he's little overweight. So you can always expand your answer. Now let's look at some of the more sample answers by the IELTS higher scorer, more than 7, how you can plan your answer. What is your full name? My name is Pura, but my friends call me Chiggy because they think I have chubby chicks, right? So you also have to explain. If you think that your name is having a special meaning, you can speak. If not, then you can mention about your full name. Can I see your ID? Yes, you can show your ID to the examiner and let him verify. Where are you from? Now, the basic question, that where are you from? You have to mention that I am from this. It is popularly known as this. It's a big city, it's a small city. how many people are there, kind of a rough idea you can give for the population, how the weather is likely, how the environment is. So you can talk about that, because they're asking you, where are you from? Do you work or study? Now here comes a question you can talk about, that do you work or do you study? If you're currently studying, what you're studying, you can mention the course. Do you have any plans, like you want to study something else in the future? You can mention that also. Why you are studying that thing, you can mention that also, right? So I'm planning to work in some reputed company. I'm more inclined towards corporate content writing as remuneration is good. So look for the idea generation also, and how to frame your well developed answer. Next is about cakes. Do you like eating cake? You can mention yes, I like, or I do not. If you like, you have to mention why do you like. If you do not like, then also you have to mention that why you do not like cake. So yes, I love eating cakes, but my dentist keeps saying that I try to wean myself from sugary foods to protect my teeth. So he's giving a reason also, right? How often do you eat cakes? That means how frequently you eat. I have a cake around once a month. I will reward myself with a piece of tiramisu, which if I work hard and exercise regularly this month. So he's giving an explanation that how frequently he eat cakes, right? He eats once in a month, regularly or weekly. How often do you eat? Or suppose occasionally. So you can mention that also. Do you like watching funny TV shows? Yes, I really like watching funny TV shows, such movies, like you like some kind of movie shows or TV shows that make you feel relaxed and happy. Suppose when you are in a bad mood and you're willing to watch comedies, then also you can mention about it, right? So when do you like watching funny TV shows? You can explain, yes, I like. How you like, whenever you watch, you can mention that. If you do not like funny TV shows, then also you can talk about a topic that no, I do not like, I'm more into action and thriller, right? So when was the last time you laughed? So it's talking about the past, that when was the last time you laughed? So you have to talk about a past situation when you felt so happy or you had a lot of laugh, right? So I'm a girl who really thinks, who really likes to laugh. So I think the last time when I had a laugh was yesterday. So she talked about yesterday's situation when she had some jokes and she made him or made her laugh to tears. So you can also make your answer a well developed one. Let's talk about spending time by yourself. Now, do you like spending time by yourself? Do you enjoy your time? Yes, you can answer it that yes, I like spending time by myself. But how do you spend? You have to explain, right? How do you enjoy your time? You sit idle, you read books, or you enjoy your private time by looking for a movie or going out, right? What did you do last time you were by yourself? So when you were alone, you were by yourself, what do you do? I read a book and then slept. The bedtime completely belongs to me, and I chose to read books at that time. I remember I had a detective book last night. The plot was pretty interesting and a little scary. So he's explaining about the book, also the story. I like that book and I wonder what happened next. So I will read it tonight as well. So he's going to complete that book. He's mentioning all the points, right? What do you usually do when you spend time by yourself? So whenever, what you basically do here, so you can talk about the situation when you are by yourself, what things you do. You start doing some drawing and painting, you start having a hobby, you are having a hobby of baking, you feel relaxed, you have a habit of reading. So you can mention all those things, whatever you usually do. Let's talk about another two topics. The first one is water sports. Are water sports popular in your country? So listen to the question carefully. They are asking about your country. They are not asking about you. That are you into water sports or not? They're asking about the popularity of water sports in your country. So you have to answer in your respect. I'm not that sure, because he's not sure how to answer, because we haven't done any survey. So you can plan your answer like this. But from what I can see, like what he believes is the young people, they tend to enjoy water sports like scuba diving or surfing. But for others, like older generation, they are not that into it, right? So he explained about the people of the country, right? What water sports do you like? Now he's asking you your personal opinion, that what water sports you like. What is your liking here? So here you need to mention about your like for water sports. I'm into all kinds of water sports. Now, what kind of water sports do you like? You can mention the extreme ones like the scuba diving and the surfing because they makes you feel excited. Why do you like? You have given the reason that it makes you feel excited and a good kick out of it. But if you talk about something gentle, you can I prefer water yoga as it keeps me fit. So whenever you provide any answer, you have to provide an explanation for that, a reason for that. Let's talk about break. How often do you take break? So they are asking you how frequently you have breaks in your time. I take break often while working or studying because it becomes difficult to concentrate after a long time. If I were to focus on one task continuously, I wouldn't be able to perform well. So how he's having breaks, he's having a short breaks. He talks about why he has, because he can refresh his mind, handle his task also. What do you usually do during a break? So what are the things you do? Some people they try to listen to the music, sometimes they close their eyes and relax. Some people they watch TVs or series, or some people they eat something so that they can get energy and they can go back to the work. So you have to plan your answer in at least 2 to 3 sentences. I have covered almost every common topics for the IELTS Speaking 1 Part 1 module, right? Now I'll be coming up with the more sessions, but what I would suggest you is please start practicing on the baby code application because it provides you band score, and the band scores are calculated on the 4 assessment criteria of speaking, right? You can practice here. I'll be coming up with the more speaking topics so that you can ace this module very clearly. You can check out our live session on the YouTube and even on the baby code application. My guidance will be helping you so that you can enhance your speaking skill. I making sure that I can help you and well prepare you for the IELTS exam. But what you have to do is you can share your feedback, comments here in the comment section, do your star rating. If you want me to cover any particular topic, then also you can drop your comment. Any doubts, any queries, you can leave your comment and I'll be helping you out, right? So thank you so much for watching a live session too. Our live classes are very particular so that you can help, so that I can help you and you can get your hands on the effective tips. Thank you so much for watching a live session too. I'll be coming up with more live sessions. Stay tuned. Bye bye. See you, all of you.